Hey guys, welcome to K-Racer. Wanted to talk to you today about chains and how we look after them. So firstly, a bit of context. In karting we need incredibly high ratios between engine RPM and axle RPM. The engine's generally spinning about 8 times faster than the axle is. But we're also limited to the size of the sprocket that we can have on the rear, because obviously it can't be near in size to the size of the wheel or we're going to hit the thing on the ground. So what that means is we need a really small front sprocket, down to 9 teeth in some cases. And the thing about a small front sprocket is it really limits the size of the links of the chain that you can use. So in karting, we've got these pretty high horsepower, high torque motors connected to these tiny little piss weak chains with miniature links. The pitch is only 7.77 millimeters across. So we've got this really weird kind of situation where we need a really high strength chain packaged into a very small chain link. And that's why chains in karting are so expensive compared to, say, cycling or motorbikes for an equivalent sort of product. And given that chains are expensive, I reckon it's worth looking after them, right? They cost a lot, so you may as well look after them and get the most out of your investment. And I reckon most people do that pretty badly. So, usually when we go to clean a chain, most of us reach for some old fuel that we've popped in one of those Worth pump packs or something along those lines. So generally we're using some old two-stroke, somewhere between 15 to 1, in some cases up to 50 to 1 I suppose, but there's a bunch of oil in there and we hose the chain down basically with that old spare fuel. And that works okay. Petrol is a great solvent, so it dissolves all of the old lube off the chain and takes away with it any of the grit and dust and crap that had got in there, which is obviously going to wear the chain and destroy it in the long term. And so that's why we're cleaning it, to get all that stuff away. And petrol does quite a good job of that. But it's what happens after that which is the problem, I think. So, one thing, petrol obviously has oil mixed into it, and that oil leaves a film on the chain that makes the next layer of lube more difficult to stick to the chain. It's left that, the oil itself is obviously supposed to act as a lubricant. It's actually stopping the sticky lube that we want to stick to the chain from actually getting a good grip on there. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, though, I reckon is even worse than that. And that's that the petrol actually penetrates into the links of the chain, into the rollers, and it basically hides in there. So even when you let the chain drip dry, there's petrol hidden in those links that doesn't get a chance to evaporate. So where does it go? Well, it sits in there until you get out on the track. So you put the chain back on the cart, you lube it up again, and you head out on the track. And of course, the centrifugal forces created by the chain spinning so quickly throw all of the petrol back out of the links. And what that petrol does, it's a great solvent. So it dissolves all the lube that you've just put on the chain again and flings it out onto the track and onto your chain guard. Therefore, your chain's running around really without that much lube, and particularly where it's needed most, in the links, that's where the petrol's come through and cleaned it all out. And so you end up with a chain which is really poorly lubricated, which heats up, and when you come in from that session, you'll often see the chains looking a bit blue, and you're thinking, what happened? I gave it a good lube, I don't understand. It's the petrol that was in those links has actually cleaned it all out. So I reckon, given that we spend so much money on chains, we should be spending a little bit of money on something to clean them properly. And so Maxima's got this product called the Clean Up Chain Cleaner. It's nothing special, it's just a solvent, but the thing that it does is it evaporates properly. It's designed to clean off the grit and crap that's on your chain, but then it's designed to evaporate away and leave a surface that's ready for your layer of chain lube to stick to properly and properly lubricate your chain for the duration of the entire next session. So these things are like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks or something like that. They're not expensive, and I reckon it's a good investment because you're going to use this to protect a chain that's cost you 50, 60, anywhere up to almost $100 and get a lot more life out of it. So I reckon that's a good investment. And then, of course, you then got to lube the chain. And so there's two that we carry that I think are really good. One's the Maxima chain guard and one's the Motol chain lube. So both of these are very tacky, stick well to the chain, clear, they're not messy, they're a good balance between lubrication and cleanup time basically. And it's really important that you lube your chain after every single session. Give it a good clean and a good lube, you'll get so much more life out of it. And the other thing being, of course, that if you damage the chain, what you're immediately going to do is start damaging the sprockets. So those three all act in combination. You want to keep all of them in good condition, particularly because with sprockets you're swapping sizes up and down. So if you've got a worn one, it's going to then damage the chain and so on and so forth. So clean the chain properly, use a proper cleaning product. I reckon it's really important, well worthwhile, and then follow it up with a good dose of lube every single session. You'll get a lot more value out of your chains. Cheers, guys.